I'm in the Cupra Cabana.
Yep, I'm in a Leon Cupra. Presumably you know what that means, but if you don't, here's a short history. Cupra is a portmanteau of Cup and Racing, making cars with this badge the quickest stuff SEAT does. It doesn't quite have the pedigree of, say, Volkswagen's GTI or BMW's M badges, not anywhere close in fact, but there have been 15 Cupras since the first one, a 1996 Ibiza, and they have garnered something of a cult following.
Which is obviously a euphemistic way of saying they're not that popular. Nonetheless, despite Cupra models being seen as cut-price versions of Volkswagen's GTI stuff,
Arguably true, like.
they've always had a very distinct character. Kinda rough and ready, and for that reason, kinda cool. The first one I ever drove was a Mark II Leon back in 2008.
I have 3 memories of that car. The ride quality was rock hard. The stitching in the steering wheel was coming away, which I think was an optional extra. And it was quick in an absolutely mental way.
It just felt like it had a massive, overwhelming turbo, so it felt all over the place when you put your foot down, which kind of made it lovable, and I really did love it, but not that sophisticated.
Fast forward to this one, it too has a 2-litre turbo petrol and even more power.
But it is not mental. In fact, this car and that one are so different that it feels like they could be from separate companies. The cabin and the ride quality are both improved threefold. And the cabin ambience has moved from like Sports Direct casual to Zara chic.
See, the formula that makes the regular Leon so enchanting? Nah, that's too much. So reasonably fetching isn't bastardized too much here. You'll notice a couple of little flag badges and that the seats hug you a bit tighter, but that's about it. In fact, park this next to a mid-level FR trim Leon and to be honest, most people will struggle to tell the diffs, inside or out. Overall, it makes the upgrades of the Golf GTI look like the work of Lawrence Llewellyn Bowen. No, that's Dave Grohl. That's better.
So a Honda Civic Type R, this isn't. In fact, it seems to have been designed as an antidote to cars like that.
Except that it's got 300 horsepower, which is not only exactly twice the amount of power that the original Ibiza Cupra had, but it also puts this car slap bang in the middle of the modern hot hatch plurality. Oh, we're so close. Middle of the modern hot hatch plurality. Slap bang in the middle of the modern hot hatch. But it also puts this slap bang in the middle of the modern hot hatch plurality. But it's quite interesting to show just how slap bang in the middle of all these cars the Cupra actually is. So here are most of the ones that you can buy today, sorted by price. And there's the Cupra in the middle at number 5. Then if you sort them by power, the Cupra stays at number 5. And then you can sort them by pace. And what do you know? Still there. Finish looking? Okay. Okay.
And in many ways, that's sort of the story of the Cupra. It's very good, but it's also very unspectacular within the boundaries of the company that it keeps. In fact, it's surprisingly flawed. This engine is absolutely fantastic, right? So you put your foot down, and it almost sounds like it's got more than 4 cylinders. And it's got a lovely smooth spread of relentless push right across the rev range. However, getting the power down onto the floor is a real problem for this car. On dry ground, it just about copes okay, right? But if there's any sort of moisture on the ground whatsoever, things change quite dramatically. So you lose half the power in a whir of traction control and axle tramp. So we're going to sport, we're in Cupra mode. Right, I'm just going to plant my foot, watch what happens. Horrible. In other words, your sophisticated and quite somber hatchback Express starts to unravel, as though it's been taken to some backstreet tuning company and they've just fitted a bottle of nitrous oxide that the car can't cope with. Which is really odd because there's a lot of Volkswagen Group engineering finery in here, such as electrically adjustable hydraulic dampers, and sophisticated multi-link suspension, and a proper mechanical limited slip differential. All of which should help this put its power down properly. It's a lesson in why power isn't the be all and end all. I actually preferred the first version of this, which had a bit less power, but it just seemed to be able to put it down better, and it seemed more exciting for it.
It remains a strong buying proposition though, in that it gives you 35% roughly more power than the Golf GTI, with which it shares a lot of its engineering and parts and expertise, but it only charges you a few quid more for it really. It's also very well equipped because it's a top of the line model, and therefore it gets lots of SEAT bells and whistles. There's a lot of thought gone into making this appeal to the left side of your brain. Like, you can spend a few hundred quid extending your warranty out to 5 years and 90,000 miles, which is excellent.
And even though it might be disappointing from here in many ways, it's still a fundamentally well sorted out car. Steering's great, lovely and heavy like a fast hatchback should be, and the adaptive damping works really well too. As I mentioned at the start, quicker SEAT used to be plagued by horribly firm ride quality, but this is much better. So in comfort mode, it's really comfortable. But then you put it in a Cupra mode and it just gives you enough extra firmness to gauge better what's going on the ground. And given how much it struggles to put its power down, the amount of cornering grip here is surprising. It's pretty easy to get this thing swinging around a corner very quickly. You can tell there's a really good chassis here, and you can feel the front differential doing its thing, splitting the power across the front axle to sharpen the turn in. Gearbox is fantastic too, always in the right ratio, and the changes are faster.
It's also spacious front and back. I mean, the Leon has always been good when it comes to rear legroom, especially in the hatchback class. And the boot is a decent size and shape as well, fulfilling the standard requirement for a hot hatch to work on 2 levels: sensible family car and fast thing. And if you need more practicality, you can get this as an estate. Oh, and that comes with 4-wheel drive. And there's the 3-door version too, and they're all 5-star safe.
So ultimately, it's probably fair to say that this does a better job at the ownership and practicality stuff than it does at the quick stuff. The hatch bit is better than the hot bit.
And therewith lies the Cupra's problem. Like, if you want a proper mad, big bollocked hatchback, then you get a Honda Civic Type R. The BMW M140i isn't that much more expensive than this either, really, and it wipes the floor with it when it comes to handling. And if it's a discreet, high quality and large hatchback that you want that also happens to be very fast, then the Peugeot 308 GTI does a very good job of that. The Cupra's a lovely car and everything, but it just gets lost in the middle of all that. Thanks for watching. Give us your thoughts below, would love to hear them, and go to HonestJohn.co.uk for a more fully formed review of the Leon Cupra and any other car that you might be thinking about buying. Bye!